What up, friends? It is Comichead 84 here with another comic book haul for this week. Happy New Comic Book Day. Now, let's just get to it. So I'm going to start this week off with a couple of the late arrivals from last week that I had ordered, and wisely so because they were not available at my LCS. We have first up Fantastic Four number 3, the Jay Lee variant. Love this thing. He's got a really interesting style that I have been enjoying very much. I also grabbed the Battlelines Fantastic Four number 3. Man, this is probably one of my favorite ones. Killer She-Hulk image. I just really dig She-Hulk art, I've come to realize, and this cover really knocks it out the park. So, boom. Those are the only two. Just two late arrivals from last week. But let's get to this week. Let's start with the indie books. I picked up The Last Space Race number 2. Last Space Race was an intriguing premise, the first issue. This second issue didn't really deliver for me as much. The pacing was kind of slow. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to pick up this title, but it does seem like it may have potential, so I'm not sure. Next up, we have Night Moves, number 1, IDW. This book has had some buzz around it, mainly because of the involvement of VJ Boyd, who is an executive producer on the TV show SWAT, as well as a producer of Justified, FX TV program. He's not the actual writer of the book. I think he's like credited with the plot, and the writing duties are actually Justin Boyd. You'll notice the Boyd last name is on this thing twice, because we have VJ and Justin Boyd. I think they're brothers, related. So, and you'll notice that if you go back to some of your comics, that plot and writer are two different credits. I think it's similar to like an executive producer on a show and an actual producer. Anyway, so I'm not sure what VJ Boyd's real involvement is, but since he's, in the Hollywood realm, I guess people are speculating that this book might have a higher likelihood of getting, picked up for something. We'll see. This book didn't do a whole lot for me. There isn't really anything wrong with it. It's just something I feel like I've seen a lot before. Just your kind of standard noirish, gritty crime drama where you have a police agent who's enlisting the help of, a disgraced cop who's no longer on the force because he didn't play by the rules, but she needs his help for this really hardcore case, and it gets a little gritty, and they're in the underbelly of Vegas, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. The image of priests with shotguns was kind of interesting, and they do appear. There are priests with shotguns in the comic, which is kind of a highlight, but other than that, we'll see. Now, this comic, American Carnage, Vertigo, is, in my opinion, an example of that somewhat tired formula that Night Moves has, but done right. Because it's funny, it kind of is a similar premise. You have your female FBI agent. You have your disgraced ex-police officer. And you have your religious-themed bad guy. And it's kind of a gritty, noirish crime drama. Now, I think it's done pretty well. I enjoyed it. I don't know if this book's, going to be controversial at all, but they sure do drop a lot of N-bombs in it. There's some N-bombs in this thing. There's a dude hung by a noose with a sign around his neck that has the N-word on it, ER N-word on it. So I don't know, it's pretty hardcore. I was surprised to see that from, DC Vertigo. But anyway, I'm probably going to continue to pick this one up because it does actually seem interesting. It seems like this dude's going to be an interesting villain to follow. So I follow that. I'd stay with it. Let's jump to DC. Well, we're already in DC, but DC proper. Batman, number 59. I picked up, as always, with my Batman issues. You'll notice with Batman and Red Hood, you're always going to see your boy get the A and B cover. Because, man, DC is just killing it with the B covers. I gotta say it. They don't raise the price point on it. Marvel tends to have a lot of variant covers where, it's a few bucks more, what have you. DC has just been in the routine of giving you killer ass B covers at cover price by top tier artists like Yasmin Putri in the case of Red Hood and Matina in the case of Batman. So dope. Well written Batman. If you happen to catch my last haul where I covered Detective Comics, I was not pleased with that direction of Batman. This is a well written story. Very cool. This is one of the few cases where I think I prefer the A cover, man, to the B Matina. I love this style of drawing Batman. Real simplistic, short ears. I love the symmetry of this, or the composition of this cover. Batman just fucking emerging, blasting through a bunch of GCPD cops. And second time in a row, guys, where I'm not thrilled with the Matina cover. Just, this seems to be a latest trend with him of the composition that he's using for the covers. He's blending a bunch of images together. He's doing his little Photoshop trick where he's drawing Bane, drawing Penguin, drawing Batman, and he's trying to make a little collage out of it. I don't know, it's just not pleasing to the eye. Tell me how sick would this cover be if it was just a full body image of that Bane? That Bane drawing is dope as fuck. And if this cover was just a straight Bane image, perhaps with a little Penguin over the top, looming over the top, that would be one of these hot covers that's out of stock, hard to find, all that shit. No, we have the sick Bane image, which would have been a standalone cover, with the Penguin jammed in here, Batman jammed in here, usually take up a third of the page with a fucking gargoyle, throw some bats on the side, a bat signal on top of that. Just, man, a lot of shit going on these covers, and it's taken away from what I've always liked about Matina's work, so we'll see. Hopefully it starts to pick up again, man. Let's jump into Marvel. I only grabbed those couple DC books. Let's jump into Marvel, Ghost Panther, Infinity Warps. I'm not really making a point to grab much of these Infinity Warps. There were two really that caught my eye. Was the Moon Knight Spider-Man mashup and this one. And I'm glad I picked it up. This character seems cool. Cool design. It's sometimes it's tough to tell from the cover, but it's actually a panther's skull on fire that he has. It's just a really dope design. The art on the interior is pretty interesting too. It's almost like, it seems like it's Mike Mignola inspired type of art inside. And why don't I show you real quick? Heavy shadows, use of negative space. I don't know, it just reminded me of Mignola when I was going through this book. But it was cool. I'm probably going to continue. It's only a 2-issue situation, so I'm probably going to grab it. And I'd recommend you do too. Marvel Knights number 2. continuing along with this story, I don't have anything much to say about this issue. If you're familiar with what's going on with the premise of this book on issue 1, it pretty much continues throughout that. Nothing crazy other than they're just bringing Elektra into the mix. So that's about it. I do have the 1 in 25 Elektra variant cover by Jay Lee coming in through the mail. I'm very pumped for that. That is a fire cover. So when that one comes in, I'll show you. But for now, I got the 8th cover just because I wanted to keep up with the story. Iron Man number 6. Battlelines, boy. Another really dope Battlelines cover. And shit, I just realized this month. So Battlelines is a game? Battlelines is a mobile device game? Shit, man, I almost feel bamboozled. So all this sick Battleline cover series that we've been getting is just a marketing ploy for a fucking iPhone game? God damn. Anyway, because they're starting to throw the ads for that game into all these Marvel issues. If you picked up any Marvel books this month, you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like all these cover images are used in the game. It's like a card-based thing. So I imagine like the War Machine card in that game would be this image. The She-Hulk one would be whatever, that last issue I showed you. So I guess all this artwork is coming from that mobile game. But whatever. They still make for dope covers. And this War Machine one is sick. I'm not reading Iron Man. This is a cover by. Picked up Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse number 1, the 1 in 10 variant. Right now I got a little bit of Spider-Man fatigue with all the Spider-Verse, Spider-Geddon stuff. This one was a cover buy for me. I don't know, I got a feeling that I'm going to be happy that I own this cover a little bit down the road, because that seems like a very iconic, dope cover to me. So I think I'm going to be happy that I grabbed this variant. Fun fact about this book, when I checked the credits on it, written by Ralph Macchio. And if I'm not mistaken, that's Karate Kid, right? So fucking Karate Kid wrote this book. Maybe I'll have to check it out. See if Miles pulls off a crane kick or something. Next up is probably my pick of the week for a read is Web of Venom, Carnage Born. Really cool. It's cool to see Carnage back. I haven't read anything with Carnage in a long time. Pretty cool. You don't get much Carnage throughout the book. They're kind of building up what's going on with him. Apparently this may be considered a first appearance of Dark Carnage. And, you know, if you haven't picked up the book, I can confirm that this Dark Carnage does show up for like a couple panels, but then you just get regular Carnage. So for like 2 seconds, he's Dark Carnage. I don't know if that would play out. I don't know if that would play out later in this series, but just a heads up for you first appearance chasers out there. Dark Carnage apparently does show up in this book. He does have a different look than your traditional Carnage, and they call him by name Dark Carnage. So yeah, Donny Cates, well done. Happy with it. My last book of the week for new purchases is Uncanny XMen number 2. And I got mixed feelings on this thing. Now, I'm a huge X-Men fan. X-Men is my jam. Uncanny XMen is the definitive X-Men title. As far as Marvel's concerned, they should be treating this book like it's their holy grail hot shit. I don't think really any other series should be taking precedence over the relaunch of the Uncanny X-Men. The writing is okay. The art is a real fucking issue for me, I gotta be honest. This cover, I'm not sure what's going on with this cover. The art in general. You have gender neutral looking multiple man. I'm not sure what's going on with his mouth right there, but he kind of reminds me of Arseface from Preacher with a deformed kind of mouth situation. Humor me, and let's look at some recent Uncanny X-Men issue number 2 covers and see how they hold up. So this was the Cullen Bunn, Greg Land X-Men number 2. Sick Mystique cover on top of a pile of bodies, flames, machine gun in hand. Art looks really good. Let's look at the Brian Michael Bendis Uncanny X-Men number 2. Really cool, dynamic Emma Frost image. Provocative, you know what I mean? Cool, very well done. That's practically an iconic cover. Really cool cover. And of course, let's go back 20 years and look what Jim Lee did when it was time to put out an X-Men number 2. You throw your big bad right on the cover. You got action. You want to open that book up and see what's going on inside, you know? You look at this issue, and you don't really know what the hell's going on. You can obviously see that they tried to swipe issue number 1, but with multiple men. It's like, hey, issue number 1's cover was trash, so don't reproduce it and do it again with this guy. Now, if you thought the variant was any better, it's really not. I'm a huge Jubilee fan. She's I was actually happy to see her get a solo cover appearance because you don't see that very often. And overall, I do like it, but Jubilee does not appear in this issue. She's nowhere to be found. She doesn't have I don't even think she appears, period. I was going to say she doesn't have a highlight moment. She just doesn't appear in a panel. So that was a weird choice. And let's just jump to the inside of this thing, because it's the inside art of this book that got me. Here's a page with some Jubilee action on it, right? Look at that image of Jubilee. Look at her head. Look at her face. Look at that ridiculously shaped head, that lack of detail. I don't know what's going on there. And she's summing it up perfectly. Ugh, that is garbage. And it's not an insignificant portion of the page. I know sometimes when there's a really small panel that you need to fit some work in, I get it. You're going to draw like really basic shapes, very shortcut style. Like, I understand that. But, you know, that's a pretty decent chunk of the page. You should be able to put a little more time into that. And then you see this again here and here with, I guess, Iceman and Jean Grey. It's either that or Curious George with a fucking mop on his head. I don't know. But, you know, I just wanted to point these things out as a big X-Men fan. I feel like you could be getting higher quality work on here. There are moments that shine where it's not that bad. Like this image of Storm, for example, was really a good look. This is R.B. Silva who's doing the interior work. So I know he can do some decent stuff. I mean, in my opinion, he's not like a top tier artist. He's worked a lot and he's done a lot of X-Men, but you know, he's not a top tier artist in my opinion. And they're trying to put this thing out weekly for some reason. So we're not even gonna see a consistent style throughout this book. You're probably not even gonna get consistent storytelling because they want to put it out once a week. So just disappointed with this whole rollout. The art's not impressive. The 75 variant covers was not impressive. The fact that they're trying to cram it out weekly to get as much X-Men dollars as they can to get an X-Men purchase once a week. Dude, you want to get X-Men purchases? You want to get the most bang out of your buck for X-Men? Treat it with some respect. Get a legit staff. You know, if you want to throw Donny Cates on something, throw him on X-Men. And even aside from that, just on the art side, get some legit artist on this book and do it once a month and stop trying to split duties among the whole fucking Marvel staff. All right, so that's that. I just need to get that off my chest. A little disappointed with this X-Men run, but the story isn't bad. I'm actually interested to see where it's going to go. I've just been really disappointed by the artwork and in the overall marketing strategy, I guess. So, you know what? That's it for this week, guys. Stay tuned, because shortly I'm going to be releasing part 2 of this week's haul, my back issue purchases. So there's some really fun stuff in there, some cool issues that I think you guys will enjoy. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.